Challenge. We're now up through June of 2021 in this 100th anniversary of our club. We've got some different folks that are stepping in to do $100 match donations to the club foundation. So each month, everybody's been stepping up. Thank you, Sharon Harris Johnson, for stepping in this month, and Faith for stepping up for June of 2021. I say, why not? Let's keep it rolling. So if you're able to contribute, please do so, and we'll see you guys in another month. Time for some district news. Our membership challenge. Shane, would you like to lead this slide?
Yeah, the membership challenge is continuing. We'll have some good news on that here in just a few minutes. Maybe there's a guest in the audience today. I'm gonna pick on the Chancellor. I know I read that he was a Rotarian before he came to Carbondale. Maybe he'll find a Rotary club here in Carbondale. So I'm going to drop the challenge to Austin Lane to see if he wants to join the Rotary Club of Carbondale. He sees that we have a big mission. Maybe he'd like to join this club and follow along with some of the things that we're doing. So I'll ask the Chancellor to think about that. Not to put him too much on the spot, but the challenge continues. It runs through December. The clubs that bring in the most new Rotarians are going to win some fantastic prizes. So I'll hand it back to our club president.
Thank you, Shane. Some club development. We are finding more ways. There's a district club initiative, innovative club concept that's happening right now, and there's a provisional club in Murfreesboro, an SIU alumni club. The cleanup that happened along the Mississippi River this year was the Rotary Mississippi River Club. That's a virtual club all along the Mississippi. There's discussions happening right now for different types of cause clubs in the region, including one for veterans. So keep an eye out for those and finding new ways that we can find additional folks to join Rotary. Rotary International news, the polio eradication. We had announced previously that Africa is certified polio free. We still have some cases in Afghanistan and Pakistan, very close. So keep the fight center stage. We'll continue to talk about that. And as you consider your contributions to the Polio Plus Foundation, it's greatly appreciated. Now it's time for some of your good news. Who's got some good news to share today? I've got one, but I'll let everybody else start out before I'll finish it out. Go ahead, Shane. The district governor, Lorraine Cavatato, is hosting a Halloween social. It'll be in Zoom, so if you feel like you'd like to get dressed up and go nowhere, mark your calendar. That Halloween social is Wednesday, October 28th. It'll be at 6 p.m. and it'll be in the virtual world. There's going to be all kinds of games and contests, and you can see and touch base with other Rotarians in the area. So just save the date, October 28th. We'll send out a Zoom link to that when it gets closer to the date. And another thing, remember that October 24th is World Polio Day. So mark that day on your calendar to remember those that have suffered from polio. I saw Orbeck raise a hand. Or you've got some good news to share today?
I've been working with Rotary International with the Sustainable Action Group, and we had a meeting this morning that had people from 5 different countries around the world, and I'm really excited all the things we're working on for the 7th area focus.
Great, thank you. I can't see everyone's hands while I'm sharing my screen, so if anybody else has some good news, feel free to speak up.
Rick, I have good news or an announcement or plea. Pinked out here, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My sorority is focusing on the caregivers, and the SIH Foundation supports the caregiver. If you are interested in donating to the SIH Grateful Patient and Family Giving Program that provides patients, former patients and their families an opportunity to give back and honor those so compassionately who so compassionately care for them during their time of greatest need, and to acknowledge the facility that provided the outstanding care. The amount of the gift is not disclosed, and you may remain anonymous if you choose. So we are collecting on behalf of that foundation. And the website link, I can give you a direct link, or you can just go to the SIH page and find that.
Okay, then I would like to report that we registered another 27 voters since last week. Unfortunately, though, yesterday was the last day that we can register voters as deputy registrars, but people can still register themselves online through, I think, October 18th. We did have some good news in that our census work is going to be able to continue through October 30th. So people can still fill out their census forms through October 30th.
Thank you, Linda.
I have some good news really quickly. So October is the National Awareness for Domestic Violence Month. And this Friday, my non-for-profit, the Grace Movement, and the Women's Center have partnered together. We're doing a yoga for her or him. If you're interested in attending, I can send out the link. It's just guided meditation and relaxation.
Awesome. I'm not sure if I can chime in here real quick. Shane and I have been talking about getting some trees donated for your tree project. I have 5 trees that will be picked up tomorrow from the Keep Carbondale Beautiful tree sale that will be planted in Southern Illinois, and I'm working with the Southern Illinois Community Foundation to make that happen right now. So that one, and it's probably good news too. Shane has gotten me signed up between Shane and Orbeck. I will be a new member of your club as soon as I get the final invoice.
Hey, Nick, there's a Rotary Grove in Evergreen Park if you want to talk to the city about adding them there.
Awesome. I think that Southern Illinois Community Foundation has a couple spots picked out already. So I'm working with them to get them planted there. Anything else that we have extra left over, I will certainly reach out to either Shane or yourself to see if there's a better spot than if we don't have one designated.
As long as they're not those gumball trees, I'm sure it's fine.
No, they're the white oak, the state tree.
I'll chip in with my good news for the day, and then we'll jump over to Jerry. We got notification this week that our kids at Giant City School will go back to school starting next week in a hybrid model. So I know not everybody's at that point yet, and the high school's talking about it for later in October potentially. But from a mental health standpoint, it's good to get these kids back in the classroom and back around their friends. So hopefully soon, Giant City will be back in school. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yes, to piggyback on Nick's report of buying trees, Keep Carbondale Beautiful had the tree sale last Saturday, and it was very successful. I was really pleased with it. It showed that you can still have activities. We were outdoor, we were social distancing, and pulled off a tree sale, which we were healthy for a while. And thank you, Nick, for buying those trees.
My pleasure.
Any other good news for the day before we move on? All right, hearing none, we'll keep going with our slides. Sergeant at Arms, Mr. White, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I made notes of several things I've been hearing. Faith, Linda, Flowers, Sierra, Nick, and Jerry, thank you for your positive things that you've done since the last club meeting. I'm not aware of anyone having a birthday or an anniversary, unless you'd like to raise your hand and acknowledge that you have a big event that we need to recognize this week, but that may carry an extra special kind of recognition moment with it. And seeing none, Rick, I'm not sure that yours was good news, but I think you might be eligible for a fine for being excited about your new liberty that you're going to experience at home coming up?
Well, I think the Sergeant at Arms may also want to levy a fine. I saw one of our members in a newspaper that came directly to my mailbox yesterday.
And who might that be?
Her picture was in full color on, I think, page 3. She may be running for a seat on the county board. Not sure, but the word might be out on that. But I did see a full color photo and a lengthy paragraph about her. So.
Well, I think she deserves a fine because I did not receive one.
All right. We'll have to get those paid up. Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, thanks everybody for your good deeds.
All right, now it's time for our guest speaker. I'm going to stop sharing my screen as we welcome Dr. Austin Lane to the club. Dr. Lane, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. It reminds me of my Rotary Club back in the Woodlands. I was a member there for a long time, and also down in Houston. And so it's good to be back among the Rotarians that are here. And so it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I want to first of all acknowledge 2 of our very own. I think we have Faith from our dental hygiene is there. Faith, hope you're doing well. I know she's doing a great job there. And Cindy, I know you're there as well over in our law school. So thank you for all that you do for SIU. I know we also have some of our past employees. If you could wave and say hello, I know you're on here too. So Dr. Flower, Sierra, there you go. We've got a couple there. So I hope you're doing well and relaxed. And so it's good to see you. Our alums, I know we have several alums on the call. I want to acknowledge you and say go dogs to you. So glad that you're with us. Sierra, I've been here about 96 days, and so I'm going to take you up on that guided meditation and relaxation session you have there. So just count me in on that here. I'll seek you out for that at some point. And Shane, I'm gonna accept your challenge and get involved and get connected. So I can be a part of this group, and so really looking forward to connecting with you and being a member of the team here. I have, as I mentioned, been here about 90 some odd days, and if it tells you anything, I got here in July, but I feel like I've been here for about 4 or 5 years already. So that's about how fast things are moving, and that's a good thing. This is a beautiful place, and really the theme of what I'm going to talk with you today, the theme is about our time. It's our time. It's our time, and it's our turn. And so you're going to hear me talk a lot about our strategic efforts and how we're going to be moving some things here in the next few months, the next few years, with your support, of course. But it is truly our turn, and we're not going to operate from a challenge perspective. We're going to operate from an opportunity perspective. So let me give you some quick updates about our enrollment, which you've probably read about by now. But when I came on board, I remember seeing some data that showed me between 2015 and 2019, we lost about 6,500 students. I don't think I've ever worked at any university in the country that's ever lost that many students in that short a span of time. So when I arrived, I thought, wow, this is pretty unique. It's pretty unique. And it was the main headline everywhere. I talked with my CFO, and she said, well, we think we're going to be down about 10% again this fall. I'm pleased to report we were only down 2.8%. So if you notice, we were celebrating being down. This is the only place I've ever been where we actually celebrated being down. We thought we were going to be down 10%. We were down 2.8. A lot of efforts going on here to help that. Just to give you the real numbers on that, we brought in a 31% increase in our freshman class. That's a phenomenal increase. That means we've got 1,360 brand new freshmen that are here that decided to select SIU. An even better number is 32% of those students are from the Southern Illinois region. you will hear me talk about our number one priority is going to be to recruit students in our region, number one, first and foremost. It is to protect the home front. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about making sure that we just cover the landscape in the Southern Illinois region to keep our kids at home. We have a lot of universities trying to take our kids away and outside of this region, and we know who they are. But our goal is going to be to keep them here. Over the last several weeks, several months, I have had Zoom conversations with superintendents and with high school principals, with counselors, which about 98% of all that I'm talking to in Southern Illinois, they're alums. So we have superintendents that went right here to SIU. So if we can't get some of our students from some of their schools, then we've got real problems. But we've had a lot of Zoom conversations with them to talk about getting more of their students here to SIU. And they're excited about it. Now, they did tell us, you know, in Texas, we call it a nice nasty. You know, they were very nice to us, but they gave us some pretty hard comments that said, you know what, you guys haven't been here, right? You guys haven't been recruiting our students. Nobody over here, when we call you, you haven't responded. And so that's why I wanted some up close and personal time with them directly as chancellor, because I'm going to be their biggest recruiter. It's going to be me. We have recruiters here, but I see my job as being the one to get out and make sure our students in Southern Illinois know that we want them here at SIU. One of the game changers you're hearing about now is our Saluki commitment. That's a big deal. For not only our first generation low-income students, our students from rural environments, our students from urban environments. The Saluki commitment basically is any family household income of $63,000 or less. Those students basically are going to be able to come to SIU for very little, which means that they typically would be eligible for federal. I have a gnat flying around here, so if you see me swinging, I promise I'm not going crazy or losing my mind. It's some pesky gnat, but I digress here. So for families 63,000 or below, they'll be able to come to SIU. They're going to be utilizing federal, state, and grants. And so the out-of-pocket cost is very small cost for students who would be eligible for those kinds of grants. To give you an idea, it's about a $460 out-of-pocket cost for us, which is much more reasonable if you think about how to help students get to SIU. That's a benefit for all students in the state of Illinois. We know the socioeconomic status of most of the folks in Southern Illinois, and we really feel like the game changer will be that it will make it harder for parents to send students away and pay more money when they can stay right here. We've also extended that to our transfer partners. So John A. Logan, I have a call with them in about another 30 minutes to talk with Dr. House to extend that same Saluki transfer commitment to he and his students that are there. So that means when they transfer to SIU, that if they fall within those categories, they'll be able to come here as well. It's going to be important for all of you, the Salukis that are out there, to make sure you communicate this to the public. The Saluki commitment, again, a game changer. No SAT or ACT. That is a piece, please spread that across this community. We decided that, and we know the research supports it, that the academic GPA is a better predictor of success than the SAT, ACT. But we are tying our academic scholarships to the academic GPA. That is also a change. So students with a 4.0 all the way down to a 2.75 are going to be eligible for some merit-based scholarship. Again, we're doing that because we know we have a lot of our competitors that are doing the same things. So we're trying to protect our market in that regard. That's a big piece. Our summer program. This is a program that we're bringing back. It's one that we had here years ago. You probably remember Dr. Seymour Bryson, who worked at the Center for Academic Success. I know some of you know that. That program was a very diverse program. It had not only African Americans, but also Caucasian students, Hispanic students, very diverse program. These are students that did not have a 2.75, or would be in this case this summer. For students that do not have a 2.75, there's still an opportunity to be an SIU student. You just have to do it in the summer. So it's a provisional admission program. It's in the summer, For those students who are late bloomers or didn't quite have that score that they needed, they'll spend about 4 to 5 weeks here in the summer on campus, going through a pretty rigorous summer, what I call a boot camp, to take 7 or 8 hours and to get them where they ought to be, and then they can start fresh in the fall with everyone else. So that is going to be what we think is a pretty popular program. Free application is happening right now as we speak. It is very important that we get the word out to make sure they know the application is free. We just need them to fill that out. We have several inquiry cards that we're putting out here in the campus community. You're going to see us stand up what I call a community Zoom for SIU. And so, you know, if you talk to your neighbors and others, they always have questions about, well, what does it take to get an SIU? How much does it cost? I'm going to get on a Zoom call with my recruiters, and we're just going to open it up to the entire Carbondale community, the Marion community, Carterville, Murfreesboro. We're going to do a road show, and it'll be via Zoom, but we're going to lay out much of what I'm telling you today so that we get that message across and make sure that our folks know we want to keep them home. Again, that's our biggest piece we want to focus on. We anticipate being flat in enrollment next year, so that 2.8% that we were down, we're hoping to be flat this time next year, or about 1% up. We just formed our enrollment task force, which consists of several folks across the university to really be laser focused on increasing our enrollment. Working with our deans, they are giving us the enrollment projections that they project. We're expecting them to also share in this enrollment effort. And so it's going to be a team effort to try and turn the enrollment numbers around, but we're pretty optimistic in being able to do that. Again, remember, it's our turn and it's our time. And we're coming at it from that type of perspective. Outside of the Southern Illinois region, we are targeting obviously Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas, Memphis, Nashville. We're going back to where I came from in Texas, and we're going to stand up a recruiting operation in Houston and focus on trying to get some community college students and also traditional age students. Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, East Texas has a very unique tie to East Texas with the agricultural programs. A lot of students in East Texas will look at those agricultural and forestry programs. So we're really excited about making that connection and showing them it's not too far away to get to Southern Illinois and get some of those programs that they would get in Texas. So we are aggressively targeting those areas as well. We're fortunate with COVID testing. If you remember out of the gate, I think there was a lot of concern about, would we have real issues with that? Should we be open? Should we be closed? We decided to be open. We had about 40% of our students were taking classes fully online. About 30% of those students are taking classes face-to-face, and another 30 are taking it in a hybrid modality. That formula, knock on wood, has seemed to work for us this fall. So we were pretty excited about our students returning. A little different than what they're used to, but they're doing well. They're complying and wearing their masks. I think that's a very important piece. We have free testing for students now with a partnership from SIH and Jackson County Health Department. So we're excited about that partnership. Our students get free testing on Monday and Wednesday. And then there's drive-through that they can get over at SIH on the other days that they're not here on campus. So excited about that. Our cases, we're putting it on our website. So at any given time, you can go to our COVID testing Saluki safety website and see the actual number of cases. They've been very low as it relates to the students that are here compared to other universities you're probably reading about across the country who are having a lot of problems in the COVID area. And so we feel pretty good. Our spring semester will be a little different. We're going to have the same modality of classes. Closer to about 50% will be face-to-face. And the rest, again, will be 50% will be online, and the rest will be face-to-face and then hybrid. We are going to start after MLK, so that's a week later than what we typically start. So after the MLK holiday, we will begin the spring semester. We will not have a spring break. So we will work all the way through the semester without a spring break. We want to keep our students here, to keep them safe. We don't want them going home and then having to come back or join into any other spring break activities. I'm noticing other universities are also cutting their spring break short. We'll end the semester about May 1st, and then students will obviously do their finals from there. And so that semester will look a little different for the Saluki folks on the call that are tied into athletics, and we hope you all are. You know, we're having our first game October 30th, knock on wood, against our rival Southeast Missouri State. Excited about that. That'll be a home game. We were scheduled to do that October 23rd, but we've got to make sure our student athletes are safe and protected. And so we're going to stand up our game. It won't be everybody in the stadium. We have to limit it to about 3,000 or so, which will consist of some season ticket holders, and some students will be in there. But all of our athletic activities will kick off in the spring. We will start basketball November 25th. And again, I'll have more information about what that will look like inside the arena, and we'll be sure to get that information out there. But those are some of the big highlight areas I wanted to touch on. I know leave a little time for question and answer session here. And so on that note, sorry for going so fast, but I want to try and get as much in there as I could. I know Rotarians are about time, so I forgot to hit my button here. So Shane or Rick, you guys give me the hook anytime now, but I'll pause out and take any questions. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. I think that was very quick to the point presentation. I think you did well, and I wouldn't have given you the hook yet anyway. So.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
I see your SIU alum Shane has a question for you, so I'll go to him.
Hey, Shane.
Good morning, Chancellor. The question I have two students at SIU right now, and the one question that they're asking is how is the decision made between what classes are taught in a hybrid online fashion versus 100% face-to-face?
Good, great question. So we work with our faculty on just the modalities, and so we give them an opportunity to give us a sense of how best to teach their class, whether it should be in a hybrid format, or it should be face-to-face, or if it should be fully online. We know that some classes fully online are pretty tough, right? And so that means we typically will lean towards doing that face-to-face. And some programs only allow for it. So if you're in aviation, automotive technology, some of the applied programs, you almost have to do some face-to-face things. But then we work back with our students, particularly through the Undergraduate Student Government Association, to really make sure they get a heads up about, you know, how these modalities will actually look. When we surveyed our students, surprisingly, I thought they all wanted to be online, but most said they wanted some face-to-face option. They did not want to do everything online. As a matter of fact, we had a lot of students that said if we did everything online, that they would just not come back to SIU. So, you know, we would have had a really big problem, even bigger problem with enrollment had that been the case. So we had to be pretty strategic about how we offered it. And so we are offering what we call a pass and really it's like a pass, no pass, credit that we offer students that we know it's a tough time still taking classes in different formats besides just being fully face-to-face. And so we're going to give them a little bit of leniency at the end of that semester. They still have to pass the class, but there's still some things that we can do to make sure that they're not penalized because we had a COVID semester. And so they will be working, Shane, with their advisor. So it's important now as we start to register for the spring that they work in with their academic advisor on that modality that their course is going to be taught. We did realize that some students, it was a bit of a shock. They said, oh, wow, my class changed from a face-to-face to online. We get it. And those are students that we want to work with and make sure we can get their schedules just the way they want them so that they can do well academically. So great question. And it's something our students have been talking about a lot over the last couple of weeks.
Chancellor Christine McGuire here. What is the campus and the university doing to address that horrendous, horrible, awful executive order that came out, was it last week, regarding diversity training?
Yeah, so we have our general counsel that's been working in trying to get a real concrete response out of the Department of Education, since the impact that I think people were speculating on could be more of a federal grant impact. And so we also have not got confirmation that it actually applies to colleges and universities. And so the jury is still out. And if we get that information, it can help guide us in terms of some of the programs that we have here, which, by the way, don't have any mention at all about, I think, some of the things in the executive order. And so we have to be careful not to mix them up too much, because one may not have anything to do with the other. We are committed to complying, though, with any order that we receive if it has an impact on our federal dollars. So I do want to be clear about that. But right now, Christina, thanks for the question. We just don't have the concrete guidance from the Department of Education, and we've inquired, that really give us those parameters. And so right now, what we're doing in terms of operation, we think we're in full compliance with that, and our general counsel in that group is making sure of that. So thank you for asking that. That's been a topic to a discussion.
This is Gil Croning. I'm an alum and a longtime administrator in the College of Ag. I want to commend you for emphasizing, you and the university, turning back to the region for students. I think we need to keep that going, as well as recruiting nationally and internationally. But I think the Southern Illinois people need to think this is their university and gain support from them. So I commend you for that. Also, I've been happy to see the improvements out on the farms. I was a worker out there probably by the time you were born in the 1950s.
I wish I was born.
And worked my way through the university by being a student worker. So seeing the activity and involving young men and women in operating, help operate those farms, I think is a good recruiting tool, and I'm real pleased to see that. So keep up the good work, Chancellor.
Yes, sir, we will. You'd be pleased to know. So the last 2 or 3 days, I have been Zooming with close to 400 FFA students. And one of the presidents of the FFA is going to be a future Saluki. So her name is Lexi Muller. She'll be here in the fall. And I got a chance to personally recruit all of those FFA students that are really from the state of Illinois, but most importantly from our region, Gil, like you're saying. And we think we have something much better to offer with our ag school than any school within probably a 3 or 4 state radius. There's just no comparison. So we've got what we say, we've got 2,000 acres of opportunity with our university farms. And so if you go out there like you've been out there, it's I didn't even realize it until about me being here after about a month. I was with Congressman Bost and some others, and we had a meeting out there, and they drove me out there, and I kept saying, "Is this ours?" I couldn't believe it, and they said, "Yeah, it's SIU," and so we've got a great opportunity to market to our students here locally that will have an interest in our ag school, our ag program. And those are the kids that are being plucked away at other places that, quite frankly, don't compare to SIU. So we've got to do
a great resource. It does take money, and it needs support, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's definitely a niche program that we have here. We want to sell it.
Chancellor Lane, my question is about
Chancellor Christine McGuire again. One of the treasures of the university that I think of the university is the University Museum, and it has been without a director now for an extremely long time. Are there plans to hire somebody, maybe even part-time, who can take over the direction of the University Museum? It's got a wonderful collection that is preeminent in some areas.
It's phenomenal. I've been over there, and I was so glad that we actually have a university museum. Hot off the press, we actually just had a meeting with our SIU Foundation. We're putting some things in place to bring in that director, Christine, that you're talking about, that it definitely needs, and to make sure it has the curator and everything else. So yeah, I'm pleased. I was pleased that we even had it. And so there are some plans to get that leadership in place over there so we can sustain some of that effort that's been going on there for quite some time. So you're spot on. That's an area that we definitely want to put some attention on.
Great.
My question is in regards to the SIU commitment program. Many moons ago, I was involved with a program. I was on student government at a community college and was involved with recruiting the individual involved for a promise program that was similar, that local students could come there for free if they had certain GPAs and whatnot. You mentioned that it's only a little over $400 is the cost for the university per student. Is that how much federal funding is actually available for students? And, you know, for those, how is the university paying for that? And is there more involved? You know, I specifically chose SIU as or EIU, I'm sorry, as the university to go to because the ancillary costs, the costs of room and board, were so much less than some of the other state schools at that time. The cost of books alone was $1,000 at least per year that I saved. So where is the funding coming from in our state that doesn't have a whole lot of funding?
Yeah, the beauty of these programs, which is why we launched it, is there's nothing free. And so we already know the socioeconomic status of students. If we're saying you have to be a 63,000 and below, that triggers for folks that work at the university to an EFC code of 0. And EFC basically is expected family contribution that comes out of the financial aid office. And so it just signals and tells you if you have students that fit in that economic range, they're going to get the max amount of Pell or federal and state grants. MAP grant, I think here in the state of Illinois, it's the MAP and some other areas. So the university does not have to fund any of that. Their federal and state aid is actually going to be placed on their tuition and fee bill, right? So it's not a cost to us. The cost for students that have the highest need in that 62,000 category, the out-of-pocket is, as I mentioned, it's about $459 exactly. And so if you think about, you know, us being able to handle $459 if we were taking in about 236 students, is what it would have amounted to in this freshman class had we applied it for these freshmen. So if you do the math on that, it's a pretty low number. You know, before, I guess over the last couple of years, to slow down the tuition or the enrollment issue, we granted what was called tuition waivers. Now that's a tough, you know, it's a sticky process to do because you're not getting any tuition and your tuition revenue goes down pretty fast. So we were giving out a lot of tuition waivers to the tune of actually about 30 million. And so I know this is going to sound a little weird, but if we didn't give out as many tuition waivers at that cost, and we have, like we have now, 11,366 students is what we have, we would be just fine, right? Because we wouldn't be giving out so many waivers. So we really think with the Saluki commitment, it will allow us to not do as many waivers now because we'll have so many that will receive the aid that it takes to cover tuition and fees. And so we're really trying to work a little smarter in that regard as it relates to enrollment. And the state appropriations right now are flat. So our funding comes obviously from state appropriations and then from tuition revenue, and then some other auxiliaries. But you know, we're going to do our part to really make sure that we're a little more efficient and not give it all away. But we have students that want to be here that you know, it gives them access to helping us even financially. And so, great question. Well, Julie,
Chancellor, this is Shane again. I've got one last question for you. What do you think graduation is going to look like?
So this December, no graduation. It'll be virtual. And so that for us is because of the state requirements on the number of people that we can have in any given space. And so unfortunately, we'll probably be virtual again. I'm hoping in the spring that there's an opportunity to, to be face to face and have a commencement out in the stadium, the football stadium, and we can take our spacing, social distancing requirements, put them in place. But again, we're not confident that that can happen so soon. A lot of the plans that we're putting together are simply plans. I remind people a lot, plans can change as the pandemic changes. And so, don't hold us to any plan we're putting out there. They're simply plans that can be flexible and adjusted. I've not seen one plan yet from any president or chancellor in the country that really, has the answer for COVID. And I don't either, so I don't pretend to, and I don't want to lie to any of you and tell you I have it. I don't. We're all trying to get through this the best way we possibly can and the safest way. So, and it's a little different for all of us, but hopefully we can finally get to the end and get back to normal. I know everybody wants to tailgate, come back to football games, and we can't even do that, unfortunately. And, it's sad. I'm coming from a state, my son's a wide receiver at Texas A&M, plays on the football team, and I've been to some of his games back in College Station. And in a state like Texas, where we don't really listen to much of anything, believe it or not, a lot of people are wearing masks and social distancing, and they're not tailgating. And, we just played Alabama, my alma mater. My son played Alabama last weekend, and they were actually complying too. So at any rate, I think we'll do the best we can to get through it as we go. And Julian, I think you had a question too.
Yeah, Chancellor, I have an idea.
Yes.
How about a fundraiser, $459, adopt a student?
I love it. I love it. You're business minded.
A lot of us, can write a check for $459 to go and offset some of your costs.
Yep. That's brilliant. What we would do at our galas every year is kind of break down what you would see on television sometimes on how to help a family or help a child. The difference between a student actually coming to us, sometimes, believe it or not, even though we take it for granted, is about a $500 to a $1,500 gap. That's the gap. So if you want to know how many students actually register, it's a lot more than 11,000 students that register. But we have to end up dropping students because they can't afford it. So, we would be up at 12,000 plus, right, if we had the affordability piece worked out. So thank you for that, Julian. We have a new foundation director, Matt Kupik, who's doing an incredible job already. And that's something I'll pass along to him as a campaign to really recruit a Saluki and to keep him here. And so we'll work on that and be ready to stand that up as we go for fall of 2021. That's our goal is for this freshman class, is to really move our numbers in getting students here. So thank you for that. It's good idea. Any other questions we can answer? The only thing I'll end with is we have a listening and learning tour. It's happening right now. That's me personally meeting on Zoom with all faculty, staff, students, alums, community members. For Rick, if I'm wide open, if we want to have another session, those have been going quite well. I met with about 50 of our alums the other day. It was about 7 o'clock at night. We talked about everything from the time they were here all the way up to present day. They gave me some great ideas and suggestions, just like Julian, what you just gave me. So I can make that time for this entire Rotary Club, or if we want to add people to it, we can. But those have been very beneficial. What we're going to do with all of that information is come back in March, and we're going to lay out our top 5 priorities for SIU, and we're going to lay the foundation for our SIUC in 2030, our strategic plan that will go out for the next 10 years. So when people want to know what's going on at SIU, your input will be embedded in that plan about where we go. And so I'm wide open for this group if we want to meet again at a different hour, a different time. It will be really me doing the listening, though. I won't be doing this much talking. It'll be me listening to your ideas and your suggestions about what you want for your university. If you went here, this is your alma mater. I'm just here, hopefully trying not to mess it up, you know, but I do want to hear from you about what we need to get back to. And as I mentioned, our time is now, and we're not going to be apologetic in trying to go and be everything to everybody in this region. That's our goal.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. We really appreciate you coming and joining us today, and we'll get you a follow-up email about our club and continuing to join us going forward. So keep that noon on Wednesday time slot open on your calendar, all right?
Got you. I'll tell Sharon. Thank y'all very much, and go Dogs. I appreciate you.
All right. So, wait a minute. Where'd that go? My computer's being funny with me right now. All right, there we go. What's happening next week? We have Harvey Lane from Veterans Affairs joining us, the Jackson County Board on October 21st, and Bob Barr of Carbondale Crime Stoppers on the 28th. And then Magdalena Duell, Positive Development Youth Action, Jackson County Youth Action Committee on November 4th. Now it's time for the four-way test. Linda Flowers, would you please lead us in the four-way test?
Yes, the four-way test of what we think, say, or do. Number 1.
Is it the truth?
The truth.
Number 2.
Is
Is
it
it
the
fair to
truth?
all concerned?
Number 3.
Is it
Will it
fair
build
to
goodwill
all
and better friendship?
Number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you, Rotarians, for joining us today, and we will see you next week.